So anyway, today is a topic that I want to talk to you guys about, which I kind of feel, I'll be honest, a little bit hypocritical talking about. And that is because this article, which is, I'll show on screen now, by The Telegraph, came up recently regarding 3 young teenagers that were pulled out of sewers. Sorry, throughout this entire video I'm going to be looking at my phone because I'm totally not prepared for this at all. But yeah, it was about 3 teenagers that were dragged from the city sewers in... where was it? Where's it gone? In Northampton. So I just wanted to read out the article so that you guys can like understand what it's about, what it's going on, and then I wanted to comment on my thoughts about it. And like I said, I already feel a little bit hypocritical talking about it because obviously I'm part of the problem when it comes to this. Me and all my friends who do this on YouTube are part of the problem, and I'm not pretending in any way that I know how to fix it, but I wanted to talk about it and discuss it with you guys and see what you thought. So let's start by reading the article and then we can go from there. So it says, police have warned against an urban exploring trend driven by YouTube after 3 young boys were dragged from a city sewer. Children have been spurred on to copy social media videos in which the participants squeeze and climb their way into difficult to get or abandoned places, showing off from the top of high towers inside derelict buildings and in sewers. There were worries that young people could become injured or even killed by taking part in risky behaviour shown in videos online. A search for urban exploring sewers on YouTube brings up 11,000 results, while Urbex shows 770,000. Between them, these videos have tens of millions of views. The Urbex community has minor celebrities, and people in it seek popularity by finding and filming the most unusual or forgotten abandoned building or structure they can. However, there have been warnings that exploring a derelict building that is perhaps inaccessible to emergency services is potentially fatal. Police have also pointed out that in many cases, Urbex amounts to trespass and can be illegal. This has not stopped dozens of teenagers squeezing through rusty gates into abandoned factories, mental hospitals and theme parks, and the craze shows no sign of dying down. Parents have been warned after a huge emergency operation went underway in Northampton on Monday evening, when 3 boys were urban exploring and became trapped in the town's sewer system. Road closures were put in place in the Kingsthorpe area after a young man phoned an emergency operator, reporting that he was lost with 2 friends in a drain. Sergeant Neil Goosey of Northamptonshire Police said that young people put themselves and others at risk to climb buildings, as well as causing damage to property. He warned that the nature of urban exploring means that those who get injured will often be difficult to reach by emergency services. Sergeant Goosey continued, "We've had instances of people climbing tall buildings, accessing dangerous roofs and even throwing things off. So they're not only risking their own lives but those people passing by. We're asking parents and carers to talk to young people about the dangers of this kind of activity so they understand how something they may see as exciting and fun is actually dangerous and possibly also criminal behaviour." Group Commander for Northamptonshire Fire and Rescue Service Kevin Hardwick warned these explorations can have tragic consequences. He said, "Thankfully these 3 boys were not injured in any way, but if for some reason they were unable to call us to come rescue them, the events of last night could have been taken completely different." The local council has launched an investigation into Urbex and hopes to identify repeat offenders and work with parents and schools to prevent the practice. Councillor Anna King, Northampton Borough's Council Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Engagement, said this activity is extremely dangerous and it's only a matter of time before someone is injured or killed in Northampton. We've seen an increase in the number of these incidents and it's clear that young people involved don't fully recognise the risks. We have been working with partners to introduce deterrence and looking at the use of CCTV to identify the youngsters involved. However, we know that this alone won't stop urban exploring and we encourage parents, carers and schools to help us with our educational activity so that we can prevent this risky behaviour and keep our towns safe. Okay, so a lot to take in there. I know that there's a lot of information there, but the general consensus of that obviously is that it's been a craze, like urban exploring is starting to be on the rise. And it is true, to be honest. 2 years ago when I started urban exploring, there was a few people doing it and it was a hobby that had been around for a long time, but it wasn't so mainstream. Like I said, I feel hypocritical talking about it because I am part of the problem as a YouTuber. And I don't know how to fix that because I always say to you guys, you know, I totally agree with the article, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there that I do agree with. There's a certain, like, uses of phrases like children, for example, that I don't necessarily agree with, although it is true that younger audience members do tend to follow in the footsteps of people that they watch. And that's not a good thing. It's why I have that disclaimer at the beginning that says, you know, don't go and follow what I do, that my content is for mature audiences, not for children. I do this hobby as a grown man. I'm 30 years old. I know the risks. I know how dangerous this is. And I always say to you guys, do not do what I do. I mean, one of the biggest things when you first start exploring, I mean, you can turn around and say, oh yeah, make sure you've got safety equipment, make sure you've got this and make sure you've got that. But actually it's knowledge. It's having done it a few times, you know what to look out for, where to step, where not to step. And it's that kind of stuff that is unteachable. You can't teach someone that. So there's a massive risk for those who are younger, who are not as concerned with their safety, who tend to kind of just run in all guns blazing and go, yay, we're doing an abandoned place, look how cool I look now. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to basically do what they said, and let's talk to younger people that you know and say, look, this is dangerous. And, you know, I mean, I'm glad that you guys love watching the videos. I know that you enjoy them, but try and keep it to that. Try and keep it to watching the videos rather than going and doing it yourself unless you are fully aware of the consequences. I mean, you shouldn't even go unless you're at least 18, an adult, and actually mentally prepared that there's a risk that you could die. But having done this for 2 years, I'm pretty aware of when I go to a place, like identifying what could be a risk and what isn't. And you know how to weigh up the possibilities of what can happen and what you should and shouldn't do. Obviously it doesn't take the risk away 100%, it never will. There's always a risk. This is a dangerous activity and you shouldn't copy at all what I'm doing, and I totally stand by that, which is why I sound hypocritical, because I'm doing it myself but telling you guys not to. But at the same time, you need to know the risks, you need to know what you're taking on when you go and do these places, especially with like selfie kind of, you know, how people walk around now places. I tend to do it as well, I do, but you'll notice in my videos from when I first started exploring, I did a lot of talking and walking like that. And do you know how many times I fell in holes? There's actually a video of me messing around on camera, holding a camera up to my face going, yeah, yeah, and I fell in a hole. I don't do that as much. You'll notice a lot more of my filming now is from behind the camera and commentary, like looking, because that's there for a reason, so you can see where you're going. And it's only when like I'm at an area that I think is I can comfortably do like a talking to the camera bit that I'll actually do that. But again, there's a lot of the whole that selfie culture now where people like have to like show their reaction to like dangerous things that are happening. You know, it's tiny little things like that you don't think about when you're watching the videos. You think, actually, yeah, you're right, that is a risk, isn't it? Holding a camera, looking at the camera with a light in your face in a dark environment where you can't see anything past the camera that's shining in your face. But when you're actually there, those risks are apparent, they are obvious. Sometimes they're not obvious. And you need to be careful and think about what you're doing. I just wanted to, like I said, I want to bring this up and talk to you guys about it and say, at the end of the day, please, please don't follow in our footsteps. Like I know, again, with Dan from Exploring with Fighters recently did his like underground series, which took off and went a little bit viral. And obviously we went and did the Under the Streets of Manchester video where we did the air raid shelter. So a lot of the underground sites, and I do have an underground video coming out to you very soon, whether it's either going to be after this video or this video will be just after it. But I do have an underground one coming very soon. It's becoming quite popular to do underground sites and sewers and things like that. I did read, I couldn't find the article when I was trying to do this video, but I did read another article where apparently someone actually, there's 2 bodies where people actually died, where there was like a drain, that was like a flood drain, and the waters just suddenly rose and drowned them. Like, you really need to know what you're doing. You can't just wander into a drain and think, oh, this is great footage. You know, you need to know what you're doing. There's a risk, there's always dangers. Even if you can't see, I mean, you can go into a storm drain and think, oh, it's empty, and then all of a sudden it fills with water. You don't know. That's the point. So, yeah, please, 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 if you're going to do this hobby, 1, be 18, be an adult, know what you're doing. I would never take anybody who's under the age of 18 on an explore. I never have, never will. So, don't be that person that thinks, oh, that's so cool, let's go do that when you're 14, because you've got a whole life ahead of you. You don't want to fuck it up with doing that. But anyway, I want to know what you guys think about this. Like I said, I wanted to make the video to talk to you guys, to get your thoughts on this, and specifically if you've got anything you think that we could do in the videos or around the community, whether you're posting on social media, posting on YouTube, whatever, is there stuff you think we could be doing better that would put less people at risk? Is that right? Would put less people at risk. That makes sense. Sorry, I wasn't sure that made sense. But things we could do that put less people at risk. So that is it. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please leave a like and a comment down below, and I'll see you again next time. See ya.